This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, joining us today is Nick Cohen, the CEO of Valereum PLC, after a few bits of significant news recently from the company. So first of all, thank you for joining us, Nick. How are you?
I'm very well, Mark. Thanks for having me back on. I appreciate it.
Well, indeed, thank you for your time. Before we discuss some of the recent news, I wonder if you could just perhaps remind us of the Valerian proposition and this concept of asset tokenization.
Yeah, so Valerian is all about tokenization. So we built our business around really two main verticals. One is the building of tokenization technology, and secondly, the operation of marketplaces. And the reason why we have done that, and this vision has been really driven by about the last 4 or 5 years, is because we see this emergence of this technology being incredibly powerful and can be used in terms of making financial markets more efficient. And tokenization we see as something incredibly exciting to remove much of the friction, both in terms of public markets, so your traditional markets, where we believe that the T+2 settlement cycle can be reduced to T+0, which I think is incredibly important, but also in what we're seeing now is the rapid emergence of real world assets as well. So historically, real world assets, anything from real estate through to commodities, etc. Particularly real estate has tended to be a relatively closed market. Fractionalization is not new, but it's been relatively inaccessible. Tokenization is all about, again, increasing the accessibility and the choice to investors, but also to issuers. So we think the tokenization is the big cyclical game changer over the next decade or two. So we've gone all in. We've basically taken the Valerian chips and put it on the tokenization square on the roulette table. So we hope we're in the right place, but this has been driven by about 4 or 5 years worth of technology development.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it really is. It's a play on tokenization and what that technology will bring and the opportunities there. Of course, we'll discuss the stock market today, the financial markets that you've talked about there briefly. Of course, there's lots of other elements of the business that we could probably spend all day talking about. But I mean, before we get on to some of the projects here, I want to discuss the capital raise that happened recently. That was 2 million. That was completed solely by the company's chairman, James Formally. And James, I think, was quoted at the time saying, "I strongly believe in Valerium's vision and technology, and as a part of my investment, I look forward to developing and enhancing our current Gate token utility across VLRM's ecosystem." So this is a big vote of confidence from the chairman, isn't it? Really putting a lot of money where his mouth is there. Could you perhaps relay some of his enthusiasm to the shareholders today, but also the opportunity that you all see in Gate token?
Yeah, so I think James, look, historically, he's been a long-term shareholder in Valerian, and the share price clearly has not been performing the way I think everybody would like it to have performed over the last couple of years. There was an acquisition of the GSX group finalized in January, which brought in yours truly and our team and our IP and our technology into the Valerian group. And I think Jamie sees this as an incredibly exciting opportunity. So we announced back in January, February, that Jamie would commit to invest as the chairman, but also that we would be seeking additional capital as well as part of a broader raise. As you know, technology development is not cheap. I think Jamie has got to obviously know a lot more about. I think that the underlying technology and the magnitude of the opportunity, I mean, it's just enormous. Boston Consulting Group talking about the $68 trillion real world asset market space in tokenization by 2030. These types of numbers just give you some sort of insight in the potential size. So Jamie's investment was absolutely critical in terms of us basically having the runway to crack on, but also as a vote of confidence from our chairman in the vision of Valerian and his team. We appointed Stanford Capital, a broker, to help us continue with the capital raise. That process has just started. So in parallel to our chairman's investment, we're also in the market to seek institutional capital to come alongside Jamie's investment as well. But it's a fantastic endorsement, and it just shows that he believes in what we're doing. He believes in the opportunity, and I think that the team, the product, the services, the timing. I think he is a very successful businessman in his own right. So he's rolling the dice that he's backing the right team in us, and Jamie is very much involved in everything that we're doing, and we're privileged to have his support and his capital behind us, because it just means now we can, as they say, push the pedal to the metal.
Indeed, and it's all the gate token. Then, could you explain what the gate token is? Because that's presumably what the focus will be.
Yeah, so part of the investment again was an allocation of our utility token to Jamie, and look, we think that Valerium is in a unique position by being a quoted company with its shares trading as a PLC, but also being a company that has its own utility token. And so in parallel to us building our technology solutions business and also building our market operations business and actually building Valerium Capital, the asset management business, we want to also be able to expand our utility token to be able to play an integral part in the development of the Valerium ecosystem. Okay. And we think that's a unique proposition. And it starts with being able to access services, the discounted fees, but also access some lifestyle angles. So we will be saying more about that over the coming months. We have a team dedicated right now working on the gate token aspects, and we want to make some really exciting announcements how that can be used across the Valerian business.
Okay, so it's your token. It's your sort of
exactly. It's our token exactly that you can use as part of. We talk about this investor concept, and what we see as this unique opportunity about being a PLC is that an investor, if we think about it in simple terms, it is a customer that you try and turn into an investor. So think people who own an iPhone, who own Apple shares. Why? Because it builds loyalty, it builds brand, and clients stick. So if you can have a client if you can have a customer that's also an investor, then that becomes really exciting. So think of it a stage further, and I always caveat this with legal, regulatory, and compliance boxes being ticked. But imagine if you are a customer of Valerium, you're using our real-world asset market, for example, to buy tokenized gold, and you own Gate token. You can stake those tokens, you can earn rewards. But imagine if you could convert those rewards and just flip them into Valerium shares. That triangulation becomes incredibly powerful. So that's the longer term vision of how we see that ecosystem coming together.
Perfect. Okay. So where is the team's efforts focused at the moment? So you've mentioned, of course, the token, the Gate token, Valerium Capital, which is a big part of the business, and also the more general tokenization projects you're working on. James has invested $2 million. I'm sure he'll be holding you to account on putting that money to good and prudent use. So how are you planning on using the funds? Where's the focus going to be?
Yeah, so we've got, in terms of the four verticals, if you like, or three verticals plus Gate token. So vertical one, which is the big business, is the technology solutions business. And we've been developing that technology really over the last 3-4 years. We want to get version 1 of that technology completed by the end of this year. That allows us to start then not only using that technology in-house in terms of operating exchanges, but also allows us to white label and license that technology to any third-party financial institution or exchange, which is looking for that complete solution in terms of tokenization. The Valerian Markets business, they are at the moment in the process of application. So we aim to open three things. We aim to open our Valerian wallet this year, which will be the portal into all of our services. Our first Valerian Markets real-world asset marketplace, and also to open in 2025 our exchange, so the Valerium Exchange, which will be a public securities exchange, and also a central securities depository. So that is a huge undertaking in terms of the Valerian Markets ambitions. And also within Valerian Capital, we hope to get the fund over the line, our first fund to launch in July. We're blessed again that our chairman is seeding the fund with seed capital to get us going, which is fantastic. That will be I think really exciting, because again, we want the Valerian capital to be looking at opportunities in tokenization, particularly opportunities where you can invest in different protocols, blockchain protocols. And then we've also obviously got the technology that we want to, and the investment in the gate token vertical, to start to ensure that that token has utility across the entire business, the verticals, but also Topco at the PLC. And outside of that, we've obviously got the capital raise as well, which myself and the CFO are driving.
So you're working across everything. Everything's got sort of equal focus. Okay, yeah, with some milestones coming up in July with the Valereum Capital Fund, and at the end of this year, version 1 of some of the technology solutions there. Okay.
Yeah, V1 should be released, but also we want to open our Valerian wallet and also our first real world asset marketplace. So there's a ton of stuff happening in 24. Really, 24 has been about integrating the GSX group, getting everything, basically the stepping stone, the foundations in place, with some execution this year, but really 25 and 26 is where we start to really power ahead.
Excellent. Okay, good. Now, a couple of other bits of news that came out that might be of significance here. You submitted an application for trading of the securities on the OTC market. That's, of course, opening up to North America. So what's the rationale behind this?
Just to increase our investor base. You know, we've had I think issues before allowing US investors to get access to Valerian. This simply just opens up a whole new investor base. And I think if you look at, I guess, just the publicity now around tokenization, you know, BlackRock and similar massive institutions are starting to talk about tokenization being the game changer. And as you know, look, the US is a leader. We want to be able to make sure that if people are thinking about tokenization, that they at least are thinking about Valerian, and they can get access to our shares without having to be restricted just because they're based in the US. So it was just part of our natural evolution.
So that application has been submitted and it'll go through its process.
2 to 4 weeks. So hopefully, hopefully as we hit the second half, as we go into July, we hope the application is successful and our shares are available to trade.
Okay, good. And another bit of news, recently you partnered with securities trading technology to develop the Bridge Digital FMI platform. So let's just talk about that for the moment. First of all, what is the Bridge?
So the Bridge is our, if you like, sort of soup to nuts tokenization platform. And what we have tried to do, we've taken technology partners and we've built a technology platform that ultimately delivers T-instant settlement using tokenization. So it allows you to issue tokens, to trade tokens, settle tokens, and do everything instantly, but ultimately for a registered securities approach, which means we have to build central securities depository technology, registered members technology, enable securities to settle, and then we have to collapse that into the matching engine in order to facilitate T-instant settlement. So the partner in STT, so they've been around 30 years or so. They provide your sort of traditional exchange technology to stock exchanges and financial institutions globally. They provide matching engines, surveillance, central securities depository technology, etc. But we've been working with them for a number of years. And they've been providing that part of the bridge to us. So we've had wallet providers, onboarding providers for customers, blockchain technology providers, but it's been quite inefficient. And it's been quite inefficient because as we move towards licensing the technology in 25, number one, you'd have to have multiple licensing agreements. That's really inefficient. Number two is in our development historically, every time STT make a change to their platform, we have to down tools, wait for the new platform, implement it, test it, so T plus 2 or 3 days offline. What this enables us to do now is just to have a single partner that is responsible for all tech, including responsible for managing the vendors. That means there's no downtime. It also means that there's only one licensing agreement when we kick that off next year. But also it means that we can exploit commercial opportunities. So we want to jointly develop, but also jointly market our technology. So for us, STT is just a fantastic partner for us because, of course, they've got, I think, about 50 existing clients who may be interested in deploying tokenized technology within their within their marketplaces. And meanwhile, we'll be marketing ourselves to try and find new clients who want to white label our tech. So honestly, it's a marriage made in heaven for us, which has been, we've been dating for 4 years. Now we've got engaged. So the goal is now hopefully we can formally get married between now and the end of the year to put in a joint venture structure. But we're really, really excited. Couldn't be more excited. And they're great guys. We've known them for a long time.
Yeah, so you said you'd known them for a long time, dating for 4 years sort of thing, looking maybe to get into a joint venture. I mean, how do you foresee this whole blockchain-based digital finance markets evolving in the coming months and years?
I think you're going to have two parallel activities. You're going to have TradFi, and you're going to have digital technology start to become more and more mainstream. And it's almost like a convergence where I think you're just now. We've probably seen 2024 as in many ways the breakthrough year. I think regulators are now really getting their arms around the perimeter. And I think things like the Bitcoin ETF, these are big milestones in terms of adoption. So our strategy in terms of tokenization, we think we're bang on the money. We think we're in the right place at the right time. And we see adoption. Again, I don't think this is 2025. I think this is a 10-year adoption strategy where, real world assets, public markets, financial institutions, tokenization will be as familiar in 10 years' time as streaming a movie on Netflix is to us today compared to renting a video from Blockbusters 2 decades ago. That's the change that I think we're going through. But it will now start, I think, to happen exponentially in terms of speed to market because of the big players are in.
Well, indeed, we're seeing that a lot, aren't we? It's interesting you talk about this adoption phase. We've gone through that kind of, what can this be used for? Perhaps the early days of the internet with email just going back and forth, intercompany emails. We used to have to put the phone against the fax machine or however it used to work. I was not born when that happened. My father knows all about that. And so you go through that kind of, it kind of has good uses, but what's it really doing? And then you get into this adoption phase, which we are seeing now, with the big funds, as you said, BlackRock, and also governments. I saw something the other day. I think the European Union are even doing something around crypto trading as well. And then we move into that, where it just becomes normal, really. So do you feel that with where you are, where the company is, with the funds you've got, you're in the right place now, as you said, put the pedal to the floor going into 2025, 2026?
Yeah, I think, look, the question you could ask is, could a big company come along and replicate what you're doing and and tread on you? The answer is, well, yes, they could. But the great thing about where we are is I think, we've been 4 or 5 years in development. We have a very, very flat management structure, so we can make decisions extremely quickly and we can move really, really fast. There's no legacy infrastructure which we have to try to cannibalize to then roll out the new tech. We're basically a blank canvas, which means speed is not an issue for us, and it means we want to be able to exploit first mover advantage and provide our technology solutions to any financial institution that wants to look at tokenization. So our goal is tokenization equals Valerium. We should be talking to Valerium because we're interested in anything to do with tokenization. So we think we're in a perfect place as we come to the second half of 24.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Nick Cohen, the CEO of Valerian PLC. Looking forward to following some of those milestones the rest of this year.
Mark, thanks ever so much as always. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.